Hello, I'm Dale Matthews with Inside News. Mike Jones is here, and both of us are ready. Are you ready for this show, Mike?
No, can I come back in an hour? Yes, I'm ready. I am
Okay,
ready.
we're all ready. Look, it's a real good idea to know what your weaknesses are. It's also a real good idea to know what your strengths are and to be honest about both. Okay, because it used to be people would say something to me like, "Well, you're doing a blah blah good job," and I go, "Oh, thank you," and I make kind of a joke about it. I don't do that anymore because they've been nice enough to say something. At least I can say thank you very much and let them say what they have to say, and also be aware of what is good about myself and what's bad about myself. You need both. So, we're going to talk tonight a little bit about the fact that those of us who have voted, for example, against additional property taxes, we're the majority. We're not the minority. We've got people yelling at us, upset with us, hopping mad. You got to do this, you got to do that. We've won every vote for nearly 20 years on this subject. Nearly 20 years. We are the winners on this subject. I remember once being on KJO with Carl Wilson back when he would share his community with us, and I said something about winning the vote, and he said, "You consider that winning?" Uh, yeah. Uh, what would you call it? Well, you may have won the vote, but you didn't win the community. You know what? What side are you on there, bud? Because the people are telling you what they want, Mike.
Yeah. uh, I mean, this is human nature when your side has been victorious to celebrate about it. The sour grapes thing, I get that to a certain degree, but you should use situations like that to kind of rework your game, you would think, and either second guess what it was you were pushing or come up with a different way of presenting it so that it's palatable. And so far, they've been unsuccessful at that.
Now, I wasn't celebrating that win. I just stated a fact that the people who were of our point of view for 20 years now, almost, just won that thing, and we just pushed back. We gave a lot of pushback to Keith Heck, and apparently a lot of pushback to Simon Hare, and they decided not to back Cheryl's latest levy idea. Well, that's a victory, but it doesn't mean you need to dance around the room. All we need to do is keep stopping them when we can, Mike.
Well, it means perhaps they're learning something, but you know what? Listen, what's beginning to happen now is that I think that there's a number of people who are growing frustrated at the idea that these people just will not listen to you no matter what. And I have a feeling this particular year is going to be revolutionary on a number of levels. They don't appreciate how you feel about sales taxes. They don't appreciate how you feel about property taxes. And so there's only one thing left to do once you get to that point, and that is to get rid of these people. And you know what we've experienced, and we've reiterated this a number of times. So change the channel if you're bored.
To what? What other channel is there that talks about local politics?
There's no. They'll be looking on their computer.
But can't you do this faster? Isn't there a way to just give us the Reader's Digest version, whatever that means these days?
Well,
read that thing.
Yes. I'm not even sure. Are they still producing that? Anyway, it doesn't matter. We've experienced in a number of situations where we're in a room, the majority makes their voice heard, and this little teeny squeaky minority, and not so squeaky, more like shrill, screaming, throwing a temper tantrum. That type of thing. That is what our opposition is. And, whenever you hear that, you think, oh my gosh, man, am I bucking the majority here? No, you're not. Those people are just really loud. They're just really shrill.
And this is perfect. It's perfect that you said that, because this is exactly what the commissioners say about us. Well, there's just a few squeaky wheels in this room, and they're loud and they're boisterous. We are not the minority.
No.
If they see, they're not capable of listening. So it's ridiculous to say if they'd listen. When we go there, look, I've said this before, and it's true, because we lay it out there every single night. We take a chance of saying something stupid. Maybe we do anyway, but we take this chance, we take a chance, and we make predictions. When we predicted, I was doing it before meeting Mike, and now we're doing it together. And I always check with him, when we predict a win, we've always been right. Always. Now, no matter how that happens, if it's a computer program, it's some dingy guy on a dingy show, or it's a monkey, if that monkey is always right, would you think that they might at least talk to the monkey every once in a while?
Or ask him for some stock tips or something like that. Now, listen, this is interesting, because after we were done with the show last night, Dale and I stayed on here for like a half an hour talking about this topic. And I hope you don't mind if you would indulge me here for a minute. This is the thing that got me thinking about this particular topic there yesterday. Is I was listening to Rush Limbaugh, as I sometimes do. And if you understand what's going on with the Republican Party nationwide, there's an issue where the establishment just doesn't get it, and they are not going to get it. They may catch on right at the very end when it's too late to do anything. But I cut a couple of clips out of there because I thought that if you heard him talking and you didn't know he was talking about Washington, you'd swear he was talking about politics right here in this town, and the divide, the disconnect, as it were, between the rank and file, citizen voter and the, inside the government loop people.
Now, just before Mike plays this, Rush Limbaugh's not my favorite guy, but can we learn something, please? Can we listen to somebody every once in a while that's making some kind of sense, and just listen and learn something from this? Go ahead.
Well, and listen, I'll preface it this way. He has this situation inside the Republican Party nailed, and what it is that you have a greatly majority base outside of the Beltway there, and then inside you have government bureaucrats that have an R behind their name. This is basically the difference, and it's interesting, and it doesn't need any more description. I'll just let him lay it out there for us. There's two pieces.
Jeb Bush tells the AP that he has seriously misjudged the intensity of anger among Republican voters, and only now has figured it out, and is now promising that since he realizes things are much, much different than he thought, that he's going to go pedal to the metal on bringing conservatism to the campaign and to the White House if he wins. How do you miss this anger? Clearly, the establishment hasn't missed the anger. Nikki Haley talked about it. She's not the only one. Inside the Beltway, Republicans talk about the anger, angry white men, or they disparage it in any number of ways quite frequently. How did you miss this?
Like at the city council meetings.
I don't even, if you codify it, well, I knew the anger was there. I just didn't realize it was as intense as it. Come on, how do you miss the intensity here? It's responsible for two. Overwhelming landslide midterm election defeats. How do you not have that register if you're a Republican? Why do you not want to align yourself with the people showing up to vote and making those landslides happen? Why do you purposely reject them? It's dumb politics more than anything else. I don't know if it's ideologically rooted or what, but it was dumb politics.
I mean, that encapsulates almost perfectly what's going on in this county. You have people that are inside this loop, and you understand, and we can see it here, a little microcosm of what's going on nationally right here, is that these people's concerns are way different than yours. Their concerns are for being able to have money to give to their friends. They're also concerned that their 401ks and their PERS and retirements and benefits and wages are continuing to come, and they do. We just saw evidence of that at the weekly business session a couple of days ago. So this is the way these people think, and it's the benefit that they're mostly concerned with. And so it shouldn't surprise us that they're that way, but people need to realize that this is what's going on, and they are the micro minority and we are the majority.
We are the majority.
If we come out in force and we're organized about what we're doing, there is no way these people can beat us. And we can easily throw the dead weight out of office and replace them with people who will do what the people want.
2 examples. You've got the junk ordinances, 4 of them. They were defeated by 80%. This is a blowout, a complete blowout. In national politics, you just give it up, right? And for the city council, they're 80%, 78. They're 80% defeat for the sales tax. Now, both sides were dead set that we're going to do this. Both sides were warned again and again and again. Both sides were sure that they were going to do it, but the people said no.
Yes. And this second piece here, what he goes out with wraps that up perfectly. And the reason why this has happened, this is 40 seconds long.
I think that there are all kinds of different people that see the anger and reject it as illegitimate, irresponsible, not who we are. It's low character, you know. It's not becoming to run around acting mad all the time. What it is, I mean, this refusal to be angry or show it is a sign that you're not affected by it. It's a great indication that it doesn't affect or impact you, and you don't really care. And that's the reason for the disconnect.
So you see, what's going on here for us is no different than what's happened nationally. This angst, this frustration, this anger to the core of people that is really, you know, I mean, it's like a corked bottle with too much CO2 in there. This is going to come out. And if people are positioned properly to take advantage of this, this is a no-brainer. We can get what we want. We can get what we want. You just have to understand, align yourself with the people. And you
why
can't
have we
lose.
been right every time? We're careful about making a prediction, but we make them all the time. And why have we been right? Mike and I were talking about this last night, right after our show. The show after the show was very interesting, and I said, "Please, let's put this on the show tomorrow." Okay. The point that I was about to make is that why are we right 100% of the time so far? You know, cross fingers. Why are we right 100% of the time, and the commissioners and the city councilors are so wrong? Mike, tell everybody why we're right.
That's a no-brainer because, because we're people and we're living out here in the world, and we have to do what we have to do to get by, and we have these expenses, and these expenses go towards paying the bills downtown, and we want them to do business in a certain way. It's not hard to be in this position, but what you have to be is a person who is paying for a benefit and not getting it, and thinking to yourself, boy, I wish that they would just listen to me. And and then you have these people who, I mean, we've played their videos a ton of times. I think my favorite video that encapsulates the problem is the joint meeting on November 30th between the city and the county, and how they're all yucking it up at how stupid we are, and how we don't want to pay for anything, and yet we have our hand out.
Yes, that was Dan DeYoung. I just can't believe how they still got their hand up. No, we don't. You're totally misreading this situation. We're the reason. Oh, well, you guys aren't right. Yes, we are, and the math proves it. It's like saying, well, the OSP is running their. No, they're not running the wheels off their cars. We know that they're not because the OSP tells us that they're not. So if somebody tells you that that's the case, no, we're not. Simon Hare, well, I guess, definitely the payments are all over. And the senator comes in the next day and says the payments aren't over. I mean, we're continuing to fight. It's a fight, but it's going to happen year after year. See, the thing is, what we're trying to do is we're trying to tell you what the actual case is, not what they'd like you to think that it is, but what it actually is. Now, we've got pluses and minuses on our side, but when we make a prediction, it's always right. And Mike's correct. It's easier to do that for us than for them because we're out here swimming with the fishes. We are the fishes. Right. Whenever you want to eat a fish, you eat a fish because you're another fish, right? You're a shark.
Yeah,
you're a fish.
Yeah, we can smell what's going on out here because we're living in it. And you know what? It wouldn't be that hard for them to, operate in the same way. In other words, once you become a commissioner, don't forget where you came from. Don't start hanging out in different clubs. Don't start, hanging out with a different set of friends. Go to some of the places where you find, your common everyday people of Josephine County. Talk to them, and just as you always have, and understand that. Take a look at the stats and how well the economy is doing. All of these things are factors in whether or not somebody wants to put out more money for the service that you're giving them. And, why don't you take a look at the services that you provide and ask yourself if anybody wants these services.
Well, that's what got me about Herman Bertschiger. I mean, I kind of like Herman Bertschiger in some ways, but there he is. We played back the video. Oh, there's no consensus of the people. There's no consensus of the people. What, are you crazy? Yeah, I just don't know what they want. You don't know what they want? Let's find out what they want and put a price tag on it. What the heck are you talking about?
They don't know what levy they want. And this is bankruptcy. This is idea bankruptcy. They don't have any.
Also moral bankruptcy, buddy.
Yeah, well, and listen, you know what though? I'm not ready to go that far because I don't think
your attitude. They think they're the imperial rulers and they're laughing at us. You've seen the tapes. They are laughing at us and calling us names.
But you know what? They may be a little bit brainwashed themselves, though, because listen, if you think the environment inside local government is intoxicating around here, you can only imagine what it must be like up in Salem, and then multiply that a few times for what you're probably getting in Washington. I'm sure it's
some of those famous people. Big deal. I've sat in the same room with the president, just two of us in a Secret Service guys. I wasn't that impressed. I mean, okay, he's just another guy. Yeah, he's got this important job, but he's not going to be in the job for long.
Yeah, but guys. Yeah, but the thing is that these people get in a job, and then they're starting to be around people that are telling them how business is done, and
out of it.
Well, yes, I would really appreciate if people come in there and question every proposal that comes before them. Question them all, and go. Well, the very first thing that you need to ask yourself is, why are we doing this?
Yes.
Why would we want to do that? Well, and if the answer is no, take a quick little vote and file that over in the circular file. Let's not do more than we need to.
Stop sitting there quietly watching bad things happen and doing nothing.
Right. Yes.
Okay. So I personally get a lot. I say we a lot, not because I'm trying to spread the blame, just because I don't like saying I all the time.
Sure.
No, it's true. I'm serious. I don't like saying I all the time.
He doesn't like saying I all the time. So when he says we, what he really means is I.
Well, yeah, that's partly true. Okay. Well, being honest. Okay. All right. So I go to a meeting and I don't get up and, even though I
Don't
think
you mean we go to a meeting, Dale?
Yeah,
Don't you
yeah.
mean we?
All
Yes.
right. I go to a meeting, and while I might think that some of their ideas are dumb, I don't get up and say your ideas are dumb and you're also dumb. I don't do that. Oh, they get the context of it, but I try to be a little more subtle than that, or at least a little bit. I always wear a tie. Well, not for you guys because we're just being casual here, but I always wear a tie. Why the heck do you always wear a tie? Because I have respect for the position, if not the people. So I always wear a tie. Even if it's in a little back room, I'm wearing a tie. Okay, more than they do. Big deal. Okay, so my point is that I try to come and I don't say you're slimy maggot or something. I would never do that. I would never do that. But when I get up, they think that what I'm telling them is disruptive. You've taken over the meeting in your 3 minutes. How can you take over a 2-hour meeting in 3 minutes? And simply because I've said something, let me give you an example. So you wouldn't know about this if it wasn't for Mike and I. We're going to play back a tape for you that we've posted on Facebook. And so people there got a chance to see it. You would have no idea this is happening because it's not going to be on KJO. Give me a break. It's not going to even be on KMED, maybe Monday, because I'm going to be there. It's not been in the newspaper. People were in that room where this happened with the city council, and the news guys didn't notice it. I think that, Keith Hick, if he was there, would, be sleeping. People don't even see this stuff, but we're telling you about it. It's amazing. When we play something back on our show, I'll be out shopping or something, and I'll hear a couple people talking about it, not about our show, because who knows how many times it's bounced off the walls to get to them. And they're using exactly the same words and phrases that Mike and I have said. It's so strange to listen to somebody say exactly the little back room. The little back room is a term I just made up. They hated that. Now even they say it. Okay. So here's something, and you're going to watch this and say, what? We caught it, and we're playing it for you. This is what they hate about us doing this. Go ahead, Mike.
My name is Lieutenant Todd Moran, and for those that are new to the council, one of the things that I manage for public safety is our code enforcement, which encompasses our community service officers, and they're one and the same, and oftentimes will be interchanged with each other. So just wanted to kind of give you an update for those that I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet. So today I'm bringing a topic to you guys, parking enforcement. And when I talk about parking enforcement, I'm talking about the area specifically in the downtown that we all refer to. So as an example of a partnership with the private sector, Diamond Parking is a company that services many local governments. I've listed out Ashland, Eugene, Bend, and Medford as some examples. They would be in a uniform presence in the downtown, and any citation that they have issued, there would be a process for a contest, for a hearing appeal for that citation. And there's a process for that, and it starts off by paying the actual fine before they allow an appeals process to go forward. So there's some positives in that.
Dan?
Really?
In your past experience with Bedford, Ashland, and so on and so forth, when that arises, are they proficient at bringing that to us so that we can fix it? Because if we don't know about it, we can't fix it.
Right. So if there's a certain situation where perhaps there's ambiguous signage, okay, then, sometimes we'll be working on a regular basis, and then all of a sudden there's an area where 2 or 3 signs are stolen. And we didn't notice firsthand, but the customer did.
Okay.
And, of course, we would want to make that right with the customer and present it to the appeal process and just ask that it be dismissed. So, or whatever, however the city sets it up for those kind of things to be taken care of. But, as far as dealing on a day-to-day basis, you're going to have some people who are unhappy, but we always try to turn it around into a positive matter, letting them know you received a citation, here's your options, okay? It's not just, you can contest this. You have that right to do that. And we always turn it into a customer service opportunity.
But we posted this on Facebook, and people looked at it and said, are they insane? first you pay the fine, and then you can appeal it, and there's some positives to that.
Yeah, what a sad thing that apparently the city not being able to get their sales tax through is now going to nail you with parking citations all over the downtown. And it almost sounds like, I mean, if you listen to that, you go, I wonder if they're planning some sort of a scam where they start moving signs around and say, oh, well, look here, you're parked in the wrong place. Oh, well, I didn't see the sign. Well, that's because there wasn't a sign there, and now there is a sign miraculously. So
innocent till proven guilty. No. In this case, you have to fork out the money first, and then they'll give you an opportunity to appeal it. And it's going to be run by some outside agency that's going to figure out eventually how to take it. No. You're insane. And see, and I don't get up and say you're insane. I don't do that. What I do is I say, and this is what you've done, and this is the result. They hate that. And that's why I personally, me, Dale Matthews, I am disruptive, because I'm disrupting their plans to do this stuff. Are they listening to themselves? Do they realize what this means? Obviously not.
Well, Dale, don't you appreciate having a greater customer service opportunity there? I really appreciate good service, and that sounds like what they're trying to do here is give the best service possible.
Is it in the water? What's with these guys? And I had a couple of people say, well, maybe the new appointees, they were like, yeah, and you see Dan DeYoung, yeah, good. And everybody there is saying, what a great idea this is. Listen, I know I keep using the same word. This is insanity. This is not a great idea. They should.
Wow, Dale.
This is why we get in trouble. Okay. This is why I get in trouble, because I get up and I don't say, listen, you're all insane. I don't do that. And I don't call them names like Keith Heck calls us, and Cheryl Walker calls us, and Simon Hare calls us. I don't do that. But I get up, and by the way that I'm saying it, that I don't approve of this. You can fight City Hall. Yes, you can. And we've proven that. But what they'd like to do now is to be able to define for themselves that I and Rika and Mike and Mark and other people are disruptive, because we're pointing out that they're doing something stupid again.
Yeah, I don't understand. I mean, every time we talk about this, I can't help but think this is 3 minutes. That 3 minutes of time is going to be occupied by Dale if regardless of whether he says something they like or whether he says something that they don't like. So what is the difference? Why cannot you just sit there and let it wash over you like the ether we're all sitting in, and move on afterwards? But there's something about it that grates on their skin like sandpaper.
Well, because we watch this kind of stuff. Now we've tried to almost figure out a way, despite David Reeves, thank you very much, David Reeves, we've almost figured out a way how to bring you pretty good quality audio and video. We can't always do that, but we try. And so when we're watching this stuff, it immediately says, wait, what was that? They're not even catching it. And if they're catching it, they don't care. And roll it back and look at, what did he just say? First you pay the fine, and only then can you appeal it? What the heck kind of world is that? And we point that out, and they don't like it being pointed out. Well, that's just too bad. Do you remember when I was volunteering and Sandy Casanelli was volunteering? We were volunteering in the little, and there's another little back room in the Ann Basker, and directing the show back there. And the commissioners decided they didn't want that for free. You don't want it for free. We don't want you to get the credit for that. You don't want us to get the credit for that. So we're going to assign highly paid little moles to sneak around in the IT department, that they're going to do it and goof it up almost every time, right? So we don't want that. So where do I go? I go back out to the front, and now I'm out there asking a question. They had me in the back room where I couldn't even ask a question. But no, in their brilliance, they decided to put me back in the front row. So now The mayor says, well, I don't want you talking about county stuff. Okay, I'll talk about city stuff. That's really what you want? Really? I haven't said that in a speech to them, but is this their brilliant plan now that I won't be talking about, and maybe nobody's supposed to, although it seems to only apply to me, which is against the law. I won't be talking about county stuff. I'll talk about this and other city things. That's what they want. This is their brilliant plan.
Yeah. I doubt that that's what they want, but this is the interesting thing is that, listen, they had Dale where they wanted him. He was back, but he was the man behind the curtain, there at the Ann Basker.
For free, like we do this show every night.
But he was running the video and stuff. And, when you're doing that, you can't come out and harass the commissioners while they're doing their job. So they would have been way better off keeping Dale behind there. And it's weird because when Dale talks about the workings of stuff back there, I was watching the weekly business session online, and online you get a really poor quality. It's like 380 by 240 or so. It's a little teeny dinky, video. And then the other day, I was looking for Linn County online just to see what sort of video I might be able to see. And apparently there's a Linn County, Tennessee, or, somewhere back there, Missouri, I think it was.
Yeah. Missouri.
And they had, all of their meetings on YouTube in beautiful HD video. It looks fantastic. And
could you hear what they were saying, Mike? Could you hear them?
Yes, you could.
There's a net advantage.
And it wasn't only their weekly business session that's being held in an auditorium. Their backroom meetings were on there too. And those looked really good. And you could hear everybody. And, we could do that. Number one, they wouldn't have to pay. They're obviously paying for some sort of hosting services to have this video hosted on that website.
That's correct.
And to be streamed online. And they wouldn't even have to do that.
Their fingernails. They're hanging on by their fingernails.
Right. But they're paying.
And they're encouraging people to volunteer, but they don't want, they want to pay the extra money and not have the volunteer, because I'm doing what? I'm editorially choosing which camera? No, you talk, that camera goes on. You talk, that camera goes on. There's no editorialization of that.
But the point that I was trying to make is that you can put it up on YouTube for free.
Yep.
All you have to do is point your encoder to stream it live on YouTube, and bada bing, bada boom, you're done, and it looks awesome. I mean, it's perfect. They can put it out there in 1080p if they want to, but they choose not to. They got this little dinky little thing.
The most ironic part about this, and the reason why it's a discussion about nothing, it's the Seinfeld show having to do with Josephine County government. The reason why it doesn't make any difference is because we get, 12, 20 times more audience than they get in a night, than they get in a week and in a month. And the city council, we get a lot more people watching just this show, the one that you're watching, than they get. They've got pathetic views, okay? So whatever happens in the Ann Basker Auditorium, do they realize we're simply using it as a background to shoot our own videos?
Yeah, that's right.
And the videos, not just of me, but the videos of every, I'm more interested in what the citizens have to say, yes, than I am in what the commissioners have to say. And whatever they have to say is just a reaction. And it is just a reaction to the citizens. And they hate it. You're getting in here, and we've taken over the Ann Basker, kind of like, it's like the beaches of Normandy. I mean, those belong to us. We're in Berlin now, buddy, and those are never going back to the Third Reich. We've got those beaches. We hold. The Ann Basker is ours. They hate that, but that's not really where the battle is. They don't realize the battle is with the Oregon Government Ethics Commission. The battle is that now there's nobody at the Courier to write happy, fluffy stories about them, and they're willing to pay to get it done. They're still going to do that. After all this time, they're still going to pay the money to get that done. Even Keith said, Jim, maybe we shouldn't, because now the Chamber of Commerce is saying, well, they'll do it for free and they've got this way, and so we could save the money. Simon doesn't want to save the money because he doesn't have any control over what the happy, fluffy things they're writing about him.
Nice.
So he wants to spend our taxpayer money. Look, we are out of control journalists. That's right. That's what they've referred to us as. You're out of control. Yes, we are. We're not under your control, but we are under yours as an audience, because you say, could you do this? Could you do that? We're doing it. And you know that we're going to be there and we're going to be covering the story. We need to know what our pluses and minuses are. Okay. Minus, we don't have the kind of viewership that they've got on the 3 local television stations. Don't have it. Minus, we don't have the kind of longevity of a newspaper that you can hang on to for a few days. Although if you click up here, you can look at any story we have for a week. Okay, those are minuses. Minuses, plus, as far as replaying videos, we replay more videos than all of the TV stations replays and newspaper that has video, all of them combined in this show. We're averaging each night somewhere between 60 and 75, is trending towards 75 now, every single night. Not immediately, but after a day or two. When you combine that with the individual videos that we also place out there, because they don't want to watch Mike and I blathering along, at least not me, then we're talking about 1,000 views a week. When you add it all together, because 7 days a week. Now, obviously, this is not 1,000 separate people who happen to be watching. There's going to be repeat viewers. We've got a list of people who want to see everything that we do. And maybe they watch it all and maybe they don't. We know there's plenty of people who are not reaching. We know that, of course. So it is a tool in your hand, and we intend to be your public servants to do this. Yes, we please ourselves, but we try to be reactive to you, and we're running surveys and that kind of stuff. Mike has just put out a new one, and these are real polls and surveys, not the fake kind that you see in the Courier.
Yeah, and speaking of which, now that you mentioned that, let me just take a second. And this poll or it's a survey that I just made here a couple of days ago is on whether or not Josephine County should join the Linn County class action lawsuit against the state of Oregon. And I'll put the link to that in the information just below this video here in the description.
So when we're talking about the kinds of things that we tell you about, there's plenty of stories that we do where we're first, and then within a couple of hours or a couple of days, you'll see it somewhere else. Okay. But there are times when we tell you stories that nobody knows about, like the free chauffeur, the gas in the vehicle, the union double time, the food, the lodging, and that rest of that stuff that the commissioners wanted to give to Simon Hare. They were ready to give it to him. Or the commissioners that want to spend money to have somebody write happy stories about them. Nobody else is writing about that. Or the Merlin Fire guys. The Merlin Fire guys credit us for getting them finally into that fire standards committee. We were the ones. The city that can revoke your vote anytime that they want to and didn't need to come to you in the first place, that's us. There wasn't anybody else's. There's still nobody that told that story. Absolutely nobody's told you that story. The arsenic in the water story, we were upfront about it, but those guys did a really good job of passing around that information. But we were out there near the front of it. But we were the ones that actually, Sandy Casanelli and I, were the ones that actually turned the commissioners into the state, where the Oregon Ethics Commission finally, after all of the stuff that we've done, finally decided to look into it and found them guilty. And now they're doing with Doug Bridenthal out in Jackson County, who's a commissioner out there. So what we do here is we tell you the stories, we do the best that we can to summarize them, to place them into context, and then we're also taking action on things, because this isn't just the news, This is also action to try to be public servants for you. That's the goal. That's my goal. Mike, do you have a separate goal than that?
Yes, but I can't talk about it.
Well, his goal is to make as much money as possible from this enterprise. How's that working for you, Mike? We've had people say, well, we know that you get your money from the Koch brothers. No, we don't. Yes. Or who's that guy that's on the opposite side? George Soros. That's where you're getting your money. Yes. No, we're not. And then there was that crazy lady. And you know, I'm going to expose you. Expose us for what?
Yeah. Right. It's funny that it's Dale saying that, and you'd think that that's a joke, but it isn't.
Yeah, it's not a joke. That's right. Yeah, yeah, and I'm so what was she saying, that I'm Mr. Oppression, or I'm the guy that's always trying to shut down the information? Shut down the information? What the heck are you talking about? That's like that lady that says we don't have a website. Did you know what you're watching? You're not watching it because not only has Wally Hicks and the commissioner said it, and J.J. Schofield, but there's a lady who claims that we don't have a website. Not by the definition of what is a website. There's just nothing. This is nothing. This isn't really there. These are the kind of people that, you know, they say that you're evaluated by who opposes you. I hate being evaluated by that. That's crazy. Well, all right.
Well, we got about enough time for one more video, and we just happen to have one in the queue, Dale.
All right. So look, here's the kind of thing. Now, really, I know this is me again, blah, 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 blah. I know it. But pay attention, please, to whether I'm calling them
what
names.
I say.
Or no. Whether I'm calling them names, or I'm being super rude, or I might be a little sarcastic. You know, okay, I'll admit to that. But am I blathering, as they say? Have I taken over the meeting? Is this totally disruptive? I'll let whoever this is on the tape convince you one way or another. Go ahead, Mike.
Dale Matthews, Grants Pass. So maybe we won't see a four-pointed star kind of throwing star levy on the ballot, but we are going to see some kind of advisory question. The citizens, by law, no matter how many signatures we have, we don't get to put anything on the advisory as an advisory question on the ballot. But the new commissioners, when they come in, they could listen to the people, and when the folks come in and say we got 1,000 signatures, they could put it on there for them. And one of them might be, let's restore this law that says that a county commissioner can only make $30,000 a year, because that was voted in. The people wanted that, and then somebody went to court and said, oh, we don't have to do that. So the commissioners, we could have an advisory question saying, would you like to see that? How about, would you like to have it go back to where the citizens had the chance to take a look at what the fees are? Because the county went to court against itself and won, and stopping the citizens from doing what they wanted to. But the commissioners have the ability to do that anytime they want to. There's no law precluding them from doing it. They just don't have to do it. So that could be an advisory question. How about an advisory question that says, when someone has a deal with somebody like SoReady, you can't serve on their board and also vote money for them? That'd be a great advisory question. Or when someone's your largest contributor to your reelection campaign, you can't decide to give them a cushy contract out the Ivy Airport. That'd be a great advisory question. I'd like to see an advisory question that says, would you like the ability to vote for none of the above on all the subsequent elections? We don't have to do it. It doesn't have the force of law. But how about, would you like to see a 4-year moratorium on levies in our county? Well, you don't want to ask that question. You want to ask a question like, would you be in favor of the state marching in here and taking over everything? You already know the answer. You already said you know the answer. Why would you waste time putting that on the ballot? Because it's like one of those old jungle movies where there's a lion and they're trying to capture the lion, and you got these people on one side and they're beating drums and everything. Sort of like Planet of the Apes, yeah. Where the apes are beating their drums on one side and they're herding the humans into a corner. It's, you know, vote for the levy corner. And they're beating and beating and beating and beating. And then there's the apes on the other side that have got their guns. This is just a beater question. Nobody is going to say, yes, I'm in favor of the state marching. Well, 20% might. How about, would you be in favor of the commissioners having to sign a bond saying if they call anybody a maggot at a meeting, they have to pay $5,000. Yeah. Every time you insult somebody by name, you have to pay. These are advisory questions I'd love to see.
Anyone else like to speak over here? Yes, sir.
Anyone else? Anyone else?
Anyone else? Please, somebody else. That was funny.
Thank you.
That was pretty funny.
That's why they hate it.
Well, and listen, I'd like to see that, you know, and I think it would be nice if you had a board of commissioners that wasn't the enemy of the people. Because if they weren't the enemy of the people, they'd have nothing wrong with, oh, you come in here with 1,000 signatures. You know, maybe you wouldn't even, like, if somebody got up and stood up there and said something that was really smart, you might even put the question on there just because of that.
They can do that anytime they want to.
They can. They don't have to be like they are.
Look, I try not to make a big deal about the fact that I've registered to run too against Keithick. I try not to make a big deal about that. But, you know, we can talk about this kind of stuff, and then we can do something about this kind of stuff. And it's one thing to say, you know, you ought to put people's questions on the ballot if they come up with a good idea. It's another to say, you know what, if you've got questions, I'm going to put it on the ballot. All you need is 2 people. You just need 2. And then you can actually do it. And then maybe make it, the recall will start the day that somebody like that, anybody like that's elected. It's not going to be me. Let's be serious now, okay? But the day that somebody like that's elected, the recall will start 6 months in a day. That person, they're going to try to do a recall. But think of the things that you could do within those 6 months, just 6 months. So many things could be done. People might say, you know, I kind of like the idea of being able to put an advisory question on the ballot that actually asks the question I'd like to ask. We could. It is possible. Yeah. It's not me. It's about the ideas. And I'd really like to see a couple of people pick on some of the ideas that Mike and I have mentioned. And remember, we are not the minority. We're the majority. And we don't need to keep, oh, you know, I feel kind of oppressed. We have no reason to feel oppressed. We always win. And when Mike and I make predictions, I always check it with Mike. When we make a prediction, we're always right. Now, what do you do when you always win and you're always right? Well, it doesn't mean you have to go around and say, look at me. You need to have a humble attitude, first of all. But if it's serving the people, which is what we're trying to do for free, well, there's some value to that. And the fact that it irritates them to death and they feel like they have to cut it off, that just means we're making progress.